Welcome to the class. Today we will discuss regarding understanding the customer needs. So, Akira Morita, founder of Sony Corporation, has started our plan is to lead the public to new products rather than ask them what they want. So, the public does not know what is possible. We only do that. Example, Betamax videotape. However, in the current changed world, we want to minimize the risk, leave no stone unturned in trying to make our ventures successful. Companies should attempt to know the customer voice and demand instead of asking them what they want. So, in this chapter, we'll study customer satisfaction in the sense voice of the customer populations, type of the customer needs, and customer need models. Same time, gathering the customer needs, how to gather those things. Need gathering methods, conducting interviews like dislike methods, conducting interviews, articulated use methods, and conducting interviews, product feel and industrial design. Organizing and prioritizing customer needs. Grouping the needs, affinity diagram method. Grouping the needs with help of customer sort method. Determining the need importance, cluster analysis method, customer use pattern method, customer needs documentation. There are methodology of collecting the need data. So identifying the customer needs. Who are my customers? What does the customer want? How can the product satisfy the customer while generating a profit? One that purchases a product or service, that is a definition. From a total quality management viewpoint, the definition of customer can be broadened to anyone who receives or uses what an individual or organization provides. So type of customer shall be external and internal. So preliminary research on customer needs. Information gathering is a critical step to identify the customer requirements. One way to begin to understand needs of the targeted customers is for the development team to use their own experience and research today. The team can begin to identify the needs that current products in their area of interest do not meet those that an ideal new product should meet. Brainstorming is a natural idea generation tool that can be used at this point in the process. So, customer satisfaction, voice of the customer. Considering the customer desires will pull the product instead of only needing to push challenges in knowing the customer's voice. Customer must understand product that is being designed. Typically, current product model or preferences for the features of the product. Difficult situation in rapid technology change. Typical problem is customer will always discuss about the failings of the product. Experience about the product usage will be never discussed easily. Kano's diagram. This is one of the methodology. Understand our customer better than they understand themselves. In order to be successful, we must understand the customer needs much better than they can articulate. What are the customers share with us is half of the winning formula. We need to get the rest of it to make it successful product or service with the help of Kano model. So what is this Kano model? Let us have a look. So here you see at left side it is absent, the right side it is fully implemented. And at the same time, at the top, customer is very much satisfied, and at the bottom, customer is dissatisfied. So satisfied with the fully implemented, that is the ideal condition. And absent with the customer dissatisfied is the worst condition. So here, as per Kano's diagram, exciter or delighter attributes shall be comes here, and performance and linear attributes will come here. Whereas there will be some threshold, there will be some basic attributes will come at bottom level, fully implemented, but customer dissatisfied that way. So continuing that, if you see here at top right corner, one-dimensional requirements, that is articulated, specified, measurable, and technical. So whatever the data is there, it is very much articulated, specified to the need, and it is measurable in terms of some values, unit of measurement, and it is purely a technical one. But at the same time, you see at the top left corner, that is attractive requirements, not expressed, customer tailored, custom tailored, or cause delight. So here, if you top right, if you are going towards right, it is requirement fulfilled. But here, top left, it is requirement not fulfilled. But at the same time, bottom right must be requirements, means implied, self-evident, not expressed, obvious reasons. So these are the factors we need to put into this Kanu diagram. So what it means, the scale of satisfaction, disgusted to delighted and absent to fully implemented, that is the scale. And expected performance line shall be 45-degree nominal, and that is supplied satisfaction. This line is called one-to-one quality or linear quality, minimum basic level of satisfaction. It is a basic performance, basically. It is expected and latent, otherwise it is greatly deteriorized. Upper curve that would indicate delighted state. Design engineer always look for delighted state. These three states of satisfaction and the spectrum between them forms the background thinking behind the customer needs. Customer expectation increases over time. Therefore, it is paramount to stay in touch with the customer and to understand their preferences all the time. So, as read with the top right corner, must be requirements are. What are those must be requirements? If these requirements are not fulfilled, the customer will be extremely dissatisfied. So these are the must and should. It is critical to customer, critical to quality, that way, must be requirements. The must be requirements are basic criteria of product. Fulfilling the must be requirements will be only led to the state of not dissatisfied. It is direct proportional. If you are not fulfilling the basic criteria, so anyway, he is not going to turn around. That is the issue. And another one is one-dimensional requirement. With regard to these requirements, customer satisfaction is proportional to the level of fulfillment. It is a linear scale, one-dimensional requirement. The higher the level of fulfillment, the higher the customer satisfaction, or vice versa. If you are not fulfilling the lower level, then the satisfaction is also lower level. So whenever you attended some sort of videos or sort of games or sort of any transaction in the bank, they will come up with a feedback with a 5-star kind of thing. So you have to rate them as a star ratings. In that, so if you are rating them 5, it means you are fully satisfied with their service. If you are putting nothing, then it is highly dissatisfied transaction. That way, it is one-dimensional requirement. It's in a terms of linear scaling. So the third one is attractive requirements. These requirements are the product criteria which have the greatest influence on how satisfied the customer will be with the given product. It is always with his feedback. Fulfilling these requirements led to more than proportional satisfaction. We need to fulfill those things. Now, advantages of Kano's method. Priorities for product development. It is ensuring product requirements are better understood. There is much clarity on those requirements. Kano's model of customer satisfaction can be optimally combined with quality function deployment. It is directly proportional to the quality function deployment. Kano's model is used to establish the importance of individual product features for the customer satisfaction, and thus it creates the optimal prerequisites for a process-oriented product development activities. Kano's method provides valuable help in trade-off situations in the product development stage. Discovering and fulfilling attractive requirements creates a wide range of possibilities for differentiation. So here are some sample questionnaire for Kano model survey. So functional questions. If the report does have dashboard facility, how do you feel? There are answers here. Like, must, do not care, or can live with it, or dislike. So here it should be must, right? Same time, device functional question. If the report does not have dashboard facility, how do you feel? So options are like, must, do not care, or can live with it, or dislike. So answer shall be dislike. Here if you see, Kano analysis, comparison of functional and dysfunctional responses indicate the type of requirement. If you put in a functional questions at y-axis and dysfunctional questions, comparison is like that. See here, one, it is like versus like. What is here? It is questionable result. So questionable result is like versus like. If it is like versus must be, then it is a delighter. Like versus neutral, it is delighter as well. And like versus live with, it is delighter again. If like with dislike, it is one dimension. Similar way, the second point must be. The must be equal to like equal to reverse requirement. Must be equal to must be, there will be indifferent. The must be equal to neutral will be indifferent again. Must be equal to live with it, that is indifferent again. But must be and dislike will be must be again. So similar way, the functional question and dysfunctional question, you have to make a matrix, and these are the customer need, how it is, whether it is like or must be or neutral or live with it or dislike. It is up to their results. Like it's a reverse requirement, indifferent, must be, or delighter, or questionable. So these are the some hints you will get with help of Kano analysis. Customer populations. The customer is statistical concept, set of varied type of persons who could be the purchasers with a varied expectations. The customer population is the set of persons whom we want to be purchasers of our new product. Different objectives, environment, expectations. Diversity need to be tackled very effectively with the same product. Focus is customer should be happy. Permitting customizations of the features and different byproduct and offerings. Statistical treatment is therefore necessary. Concept of average customers, 3 sigma customers means it is important, lead customer. Different countries, climates and economies. Lead age usage, product with rapid changing technology. Lead customer are always important for the designers. Types of customer needs. Direct needs. Customer have no trouble declaring them clearly when asked. You have to ask those things. So he will directly tell them. So these are my needs. Then latent needs, not directly expressed by the customer, needs to probing. Indirectly you can ask, or maybe later you come to know that this is his need. Then constant needs, intrinsic to the task of the product and will always be there. Variable needs, not constant, may go away if suitable techno solution is in the offering. General needs applies to all customers, that is heating facility in car in entire USA or China or Russia. Niche needs, specific rare needs apply only to the selected customer, that is AC in car in UK. It is cold country for most part of the year. Customer need models. There are different models in usage help to map the customer needs and translate them to product functions, relate different stages of the operation. Different models exist, simplest and most useful list. Gathering customer needs. Information on customer needs is obtained through variety of channels like interviews, questionnaires, focus groups, customer role play, be the customer. So those are the channels. Gathering customer needs with help of interviews shall be discuss the need one customer at a time, conducted at customer environment, recorded as a video or audio tapes, more effective because direct interaction required more time and dedicated effort. Gather those need data. So same time, if you go with the questionnaires options, develop a list of criteria. You have to raise some questionnaires, list of appropriate questions, organize the responses, ranking of the product based on the criteria. And with an option of focus group, session with the group of customers held in product development environment. Effective focus group ask the question, why uncover the real need? Let time consuming and better than previous 2 months. So you have to open up that reasoning, why it should. You have to uncover the real need of the customer by asking those questions. Be the customer. With help of this be the customer option, you have to think in his mindset. Travel at different locations and use the product by the competitors. In-house equipment design, more effective method to express yourself. Result may be biased, least effective than an interview with a focus group. Gathering customer needs. These are the attributes, collection method. So if you see here, collection methods are interview based, questionnaire based, focus group, and be the customer type. Attributes are nature of technique, advantage, and limitations. You see, what are the nature of technique in interview is interview the team, discuss a single customer need. Means for a specific reason, you can interact with them. Questionnaires are Form a list of questions for informing the gathering. In focus group, moderator facilitates a session with the group of customers. And to be the customer, design team travels to the locations of usage of the product. Means it is maybe a competitor or a prototype. What are the advantages of these things? Specific information is gathered when the customer uses the product in interview. In a questionnaire, it can be used to obtain specific information if the questions are formed properly. In a focus group, uses fewer resources, time and money, and can gather significant responses compared to interview or questionnaires, focus group. And profitable first-hand information is obtained to be a customer. What are the limitations in that? Needs to have a process associated with the customer's use. You have to go sequence of operation one by one. Usefulness responses in question. Size and variety of the group is significant for the generalization of the responses in focus group. And excessive demands would be tough to adopt to become a customer. If you put all these things into a Kano's model again, that is not implemented, fully implemented, satisfied and dissatisfied. In that case, over time, delightful innovation becomes another basic need. So if you see here or the top line, it represents delighters, means it is performance needs, what the customer is required. Then gradually it become, over the period of time, it is getting fully implemented or it become a basic need. Once you given those features in that product, then that become a habit of that lifestyle. So that's what this will become a basic need for a next demand. Customer need modeling. How to use the Kano's model? A little interesting on those things. First of all, you need to identify the voice of the customer. What are those? Surveys, interviews, focus groups, observations, and customer complaints and feedback. Then you need to translate VOC, voice of customer, into a critical to quality CTQ characteristics. So whatever the customer demands are there, you need to convert into the CTQs. So you have to segregate in a rank the CTQs into 3 categories. Dissatisfier must be customer requirements. Satisfier, more is better, essential to stay competitive. And delighter is a differentiator. Then evaluate current performance by analyze and strategize. Action plan, project selection, new product or service, or marketing strategy. Conducting interview. 2 methods exist, like or dislike method or articulated use method. In like or dislike method, interviewer should ensure that the customer describe not only what they do not like, but also what they like. You need to understand their like or dislike. More detailed questions may ask to understand the various aspects of the product. Why questions to bring out latent customer needs? So why question is always matters. To open up his mouth, to find out the actual reason. What the customer will consider while purchasing the product. How the customer will change the product to make it better. And data collections form may be used to document the needs. Articulated use method, particularly useful in uncovering the latent needs. The design team must see through how the product is or will be used in detail by going along with the customer and witnessing the use, asking intermittent questions. organizing and prioritizing customer needs, grouping interpreted needs, sorting two techniques, affinity diagram or sorting method. Affinity diagrams, in that information must be compiled into a list of interpreted customer needs, grouping of the customer needs by looking for affiliated among the different needs. Each interpreted need with associated customer identification is copied onto post-it note and affixed on the large whiteboard. The process is repeated for all the posts. So the sticky notes, you need to make them grouping. Which criteria comes under? There may be a lot of these sticky notes will be there. So you need to make them categorized to identify which are the maximum categories, determining the need importance. Interview data method, questionnaire method, cluster analysis method. In that first one, elementary approach should be maintained in interview data method. Normalized weighings are constructed. The below formula is used to validate that. So here, weightings in the sense criteria equal to number of times mentioned divided by subjects. So again, WCRI is the interpreted importance rank of the ith need of the customer. So number of times mentioned, number of persons who mentioned the same requirement. Subjects, number of persons interviewed. Flaw does not explicitly convey the importance of the feature when compared with the responses. This is one of the methodology. So in interview data method, there are 200 customers, for example. 20th need is greater than, is repeated 100 times by the customer, then WCRI equal to 100 by 200 equal to 0.5. So WCRI equal to number of times mentioned doubly subject. Improved basic importance rate. First, convert the responses into numerical values. Here WCRI J is the numerical importance rating for a ith need assigned by the jth customer. So if you are providing some criteria here, must is 9, good is 7, should is 5, nice is 3, and not mentioned is 0. If you are putting the same, must is 1, good is 0.7, or should is 0.5, or nice is 0.3, or not mentioned. So importance of ith need is WCRI equal to summation of WCRI J oblique J number of persons interviewed. So questionnaire method, send out the questions to large number of customers. Understand what do they wish to see within the implied cost, what they wish to see for a small rise in the cost, what they wish to remove for a small fall of the cost. Understand the importance ranking from the customer. Prioritize functions to be implemented. Cluster analysis method. In all the previous methods, the importance of the feature is assumed to be a constant value. This would cause a problem if any key feature of the product is not given due to importance due to cost cutting, negative customer demand, or inability to develop. Helps to develop a preference structure which would consider the interdependencies. Delivers a portfolio architecture which is derived from the statistical methods like conjoint analysis. Customer use patterns. Different ways the product is used in as it is or modified condition by the customer. Design team must collect all this information, which will help in identifying the portfolio architecture. Activity diagram can be built by listing all activities from beginning to the end of the customer. So here one of the example you see here, diagram, ATM system for ABC Bank. So here first column refers for account holder activity. Second column represents for ATM activity. Third column represents for book server, which is hidden and behind. So if you see the first activity, customer will come and enter into a ATM. He will insert a card here. Then he will ask to enter the PIN. When he entered the PIN, it will go to the book server. It will verify the PIN with this system. When the verification happens here, then if it is valid PIN, then it will ask you to enter the withdrawal amount. But if it is invalid PIN, it will go to the reverse operation. Where it is reverse operation? If you see here, it is directly going from this end. Means log session out or eject the card or take the card directly. You are skipping entire operations. But if you are verifying the PIN is valid PIN, then it will ask you to enter the amount of withdrawal amount. Then it will verify the sufficient funds are available or not. So your account having a 20,000 rupees, but you are entering 10,000 rupees, then it will validate okay. If you are entering 25,000, then it will not validate. Again, it will also verify with the system disposal system, whether per day transaction is within the limit or not. That will also verify. If it is insufficient funds, again it will go back to the exit mode. But if it is a sufficient funds, then it will go to take funds. So there is an activity. So transaction will happen. Once the transaction happens, so it will go to logout session. It will inform you. Then you have to eject the card, then take the card out, then go home, go out. So this is one of the activity diagram. So same, whatever the customer needs are there, you need to put all those activity in terms of sequence of operation one by one. So in those sequences of operations will clearly inform you the what kind of activity or service or product is required. Customer use patterns. The important uses of the resulting activity diagram are twofold. The activity diagram can communicate to any new and different design team members what the customer is doing with the product. It helps design team to aware of all the customer needs of the product. Useful characterization for the list of customer needs. Customer need gathering effort need to be summarized in a documentation. The completed customer need analysis must be summarized to a list of interpreted needs for the entire design team to share as a document and agree on. The important information are brief description of the typical customer, list of them by product function, and with many more options. The next topic will be establishing the product function. Model of how the product should be function, designing the product architecture, product accepts input and procedure output, model of translating customer needs into product functions. So in this chapter, we will learn why functional decomposition, functional modeling basics, functions and constraints, modeling processes, a simple approach function trees, the fast method, the subtract and operate procedure, establishing system functionality, creating a function structure, the basic function structure, black box and definitions, function structure simply stated, and phases of the function structure modeling. Brainstorming method. It is the most common method used by design team for generating ideas. The word brainstorming has come into general usage in the language to denote any kind of idea generation. Brainstorming is carefully orchestrated process. A well done brainstorming session is an enthusiast session of rapid, free flowing ideas. In that, Scamper checklist to aid in brainstorming. Proposed change. What are the change we need to bring? And here is the description. Substitute. What if used in a different material, process, person, power source, place, or approach? Means alternate option. Substitute. Another change, proposed change shall be combine. So, could I combine units, proposes, purposes, ideas, elements, dimensions? Then another change, adoptability, adopt. What else is like this? What other idea does it suggest? Does the past offer a parallel? Or what can I copy from the reference? Another proposed change, modify, magnify, minify. Could I add a new twist? Could I change the meaning, color, motion, form, or shape? Could I add something, make stronger, higher, longer, thicker, or could I subtract something else? Then proposed change shall be put to the other uses. Are there new ways to use this as it is? If I modify it, does it have other uses? Another proposed change, eliminate, elimination. Can I remove a part? Can I remove a function? Can I remove a person without affecting the outcome? And proposing the change of rearrange or reverse. Could I interchange components? Could I use a different layout or sequence? What if I transpose cause and effect? Could I transpose positive and negative? What if I turned it backward, upside down, or inside out? So these are the scamper checklist. So these questions or these options need to be tried out while doing brainstorming. So refinement and evaluation of the idea. The objective of creative idea evaluation is not to window the set of ideas into a single or very small number of solutions. The primary purpose of refinement and evaluation step in concept generation is the identification of creative, feasible, yet still practical ideas. So here it is not about scoring, it is about perfection. A quick way of sorting ideas. Ideas that may be feasible as they stand, ideas that maybe have a potential after more thought or research are applied, ideas that are very unfeasible and have no chance of becoming good solutions. So those needs to be evaluated. Another methodology of idea generating techniques beyond brainstorming are six key questions we need to ask: who, what, when, where, how, and why. So these are the basic questions. So, in industry, there is a why analysis is there, brainstorming methodology is there. So 5 whys. Why has the machine stopped? A fuse blew because the fan overloaded? Or why was not there enough lubrication? The pump stopped working. Why was not the pump working? The pump shaft vibration caused by abrasion here. Why was the abrasion? No filter on the loop pump allowing debris to enter the system. See, sitting on only one issue, if you go into the deep root, then you will get the answer or possible to near the answer. Those are the checklist. So we'll study in detail about this why.
This is a simple example of how to conduct a 5 why. What I'm showing is a 1 why. It points out that the Titanic sank because the ship hit an iceberg. That's a simple cause and effect relationship. You can expand on this and say the Titanic sank specifically because water filled the hole. And water filled the hole because there were openings in the hole. And there are openings in the hole because the ship hit the iceberg. These are 3 1 whys that combine to create a 3 why. This information in the middle of this part of the analysis fits right in here. So the 1 why is accurate and the 3 why is accurate. You can add more detail and expand this to a 5 why. On this 5 why, it points out that the ship hit the iceberg because it didn't turn sufficiently, because the lookouts saw the iceberg late. And you can see how easy it is for someone to identify that the lookouts are what caused the Titanic to sink. This 5 why is absolutely accurate. The lookouts seeing the iceberg late is causally related to the Titanic sinking. But someone else on the same issue could say, no, the problem is the ship didn't turn sufficiently because it was going too fast. Management had the ship going at 18 knots. It's too fast. It couldn't turn sufficiently. So it's really a management systems issue. And someone else says, no, what happened is the plates pulled apart because of the strength of the joints, because of the rivets. These were grade 4 wrought iron rivets. And if you would have just changed the design of those rivets, you never would have had the Titanic sink because the plates wouldn't have pulled apart. So there are 3 different 5 whys laid out here. Each one of these 5 whys is accurate. It's not an issue of who's right and which 2 people are wrong. All of this information is accurate. The key is that even though people see the problem differently, they have different points of view, it doesn't change the incident. The Titanic incident happened a particular way. You can combine these cause and effect relationships together, and you find out that the ship didn't turn sufficiently because the lookout saw the iceberg late and the speed of the ship. The reason why this is important is because even if the lookouts see the iceberg late, if the ship is traveling a different speed, it changes the ability for the ship to turn. Even if the speed is 18 knots, if the lookouts see the iceberg earlier, it changes the ability for the ship to avoid the iceberg. So both causes are required to produce that particular effect. You can even add in the design and find out that you could hit the iceberg, but if the plates were stronger, if the rivets were stronger and never pulled apart, then you wouldn't have water fill the hole. So the question is, well, which one of these caused the Titanic to sink? And you can see how easy it is for someone to point out, well, the lookouts made the error, and someone else says, no, it was management had the ship going too fast, and someone says, no, it's a design issue. So these are the 3 classic operator error, management, or design laid out on one issue. This is one more thorough analysis than a single 5 why can provide, but those original 5 whys are definitely accurate. You would tie this issue when we lay out a cause map, you would tie this issue to the goals. So ultimately, the safety goal was affected because 1,500 people died, and you obviously lost the ship, and we'd add the property goal in there too. That's why this breaks out into, in this case, a 15Y. Now, it's made up of different points of view because people see different 5Ys within an incident. The actual Titanic incident, you can expand much further. This lays out to a 125Y, but as you can see, it starts with just a 4Y here at the beginning. So this simple 4Y can expand into 115 Ys. This analysis is accurate, and this analysis is accurate. They're just at different levels of detail. So it's important when you begin an investigation to keep it simple. That's why something as basic as a 1Y to a 2Y and building out to a 5Y is such a great starting point, because people can then add more detail to expand that analysis. If you'd like to learn more about our cause mapping approach to investigating and preventing incidents, visit our website or attend one.
You got that flat tire.
Yeah, what?
I noticed it when I was getting out of your car.
Why were you in my car?
Taking a nap.
Why were you taking a nap in my car?
I was getting high and I just went to sleep.
Why were you getting high in my car?
Because you hide your pot in the car. Jeez, which one of us is high, you or me?
So by watching those videos, you might have understood how to conduct a why analysis. And it also called fishbone diagram and Ishikawa diagram. And also people do the cause and effect analysis with that. So these are the some of the examples how to conduct a why analysis. Why functional decomposition happens. Functional modeling provides a basis for organizing the design team. So functions or a set of functions may be derived or generated directly from the customer needs. The functions defines clear boundaries to associate assemblies or subordinates, sub-assemblies of the final design solutions. Creativity is enhanced by ability to decompose problems and manipulate partial solutions. Decomposing the design task into its functional elements, solution to each element are more apparent due to the reduction of complexity and extraneous information. Natural form of abstracting design tasks, many level of functioning abstraction may be created. Through abstraction, a design team may search for a real problem being solved while minimizing biases. Systematic way to solve the design problems. So if one generate one idea, it will probably be a poor idea. If one generate many idea, one good idea might exist for further development. One of the says, the emphasis is on attaining the correct description of what the product is to do as a system of functions. The description then naturally led to the many solution ideas, its modularity and possible interactions. Then function modeling basis. Primary functions, secondary functions, and constraints. What is the function? That the function of product is a statement of a clear, reproducible relationship between the available input and the desired output of the product, independent on any particular form. It is simplest representation of the product. Usually just a noun and the active verb examples, chop the beans or clip the nails. The next step is to decompose the functions into various subfunctions. The relation between the various subfunctions and functions are often governed by constraints or input-output relations. So function modeling basis, abstraction. It is process of ignoring what is particular or incidental and emphasizing what is general and essential. Generic black box method. Whatever you do input, the product functions, then it gives output. Constraint. It is set of clear criteria, then that must be satisfied by the product. Distinction between function and constraint is dependent on the solution principle considered. Example, fingernail clipper design or compactness. Handle can pivot and fold flat. A clipper in smaller size, volumetric criteria. Typical example of constraints are cost, compactness, weight, and reliability. So here are the block diagram of modeling process. So problem definition clarifies black box model custom requirement. Create the process description here. Then generate function hierarchy. At the same time, create task listing. Both together will generate aggregative sub-functions, refine function structure, label check flaws, cross verification over here. Then compare with the customer requirements, then create alternate function structures. Again, revalidate it and repeat the cycle. Simple approach function trees. Decompose prime function hierarchically in sub-functions that when are fulfilled, complete the overall product function. Function trees are fast and easy construct. So developing function trees, fast method, top-down approach, and subtract method, it is a bottom-up approach. What is fast? The fast is function analysis system technique method. In that, if the example, if you see the scope of supply line, higher order function, it starts. This is entire scope of problem under the study. So how it happens? Design objective, design objective, design objective. That is function that happen all the time. But basically, when a higher order happens, basic function, required secondary function, and consecutive function. So that is the scope line. Here we need to apply how, why, when, and what. So all the time functions that happen at the same time and or when. That fast method, first step is to brainstorm all functions that product will serve in the eyes of customer. One need to ask what the product does rather than what the product is. Simple verb or noun structure should be used. Verb followed by noun phrase is better. Word should be made as a generic as possible. Example, produce torque, generate light, shape material, that way. In a fast method, out of all functions identified, select one function that is the overall product function of the basic function. For example, the basic function of the steering wheel is to provide a handle for turning the wheel. Certain products have more than one basic function, then it needs a separate analysis for each basic function. Once the basic function is identified, all other functions are considered as a secondary functions and they are subordinates to the basic function. So in function tree, established by asking how is the function achieved? The answer is at least one. Overall function is placed at the top left of the diagram, that is how. Then some function should be right side of the overall basic function, that is when and where. The first developed critical path, basic backbone of the functions. Non-critical sub-functions need to be established. All type of functions are noted at the top right corner. Here, one of the example is coffee mill. So you can see the objective is to grind the coffee, and the final output will be provide electricity. So support loads create aesthetic appeal, compact system, and reduce noise. These are the attributes. In reduce noise, chop the beans, seal for chopping, contain beans, hold beans, accept beans, generate noise, and reduce noise. And same time compact system, convert EE to rotation, transmit torque, dampen the vibration, generate the noise, reduce the noise. And here the support loads, creative aesthetic appeal, actual power, and connector electricity, and provide the electricity. This is one of the example in that. The same, the function analysis system technique, first example of overhead projector. How and why and when. So these are the output and input versus output. How it works? First model for overhead project. The objectives or specifications are facilitate portability, allow safety. Here, transmit current, receive current, convert energy, generate light, project image, convey the information. That is the objective. In that, here the generate light, concept and concept. So how it happens? This convert energy which generate the heat. So dissipate the heat, generate the noise, then close the noise. Then project image, focus the image, support image, and amplify the image. So these are the first example. Here if you see, ask why the basic function to the secondary function, because it is customer need. In that secondary function, you again, the customer need break into two, secondary function and secondary function. So first model is complete when customer needs can be mapped to functions. Till function, you need to ask the question. So summary is, construct two vertical dashed lines, one of the extreme line and one to the right. These lines define the scope of the product development objectives. Place the basic function to the right of the left hand corner and pose question, why is the basic function being performed? Higher order question will be answer the question. Place these higher order functions to the left of the basic question. Connect all the higher order secondary functions with the line. It is called as critical. These functions always follow how and why answering scheme and represent secondary functions. Critical path will end with an assumed function outside the right scope of the line. This function are extremely external to the product. Example, supply electricity in the case of copy mill. Generate remaining all the secondary functions and connect appropriate. State the objective of the development effort above the basic function. Additionally, and one time or all time functions to top of the diagram. Then subtract and operate method. Bottom up approach. The assumption is that product is already exist and this product or concept when reverse engineered using the subtract and operate procedure. Start with smallest isolate functions of the feature components in the product. These functions should not easily decompose into further subfunctions. Remove the function, feature or component and operate it. It will establish the critical contribution of the particular feature or component in the product. Here's how to do the subtract and operate method. Here, the objective is to make the coffee grind. In that, input beans, then input on-off signal, input power, hold, rotate shaft, provide coffee, chops bean, and permit cleaning. These are the activity sequence of operation. In that, if you break up the activity, input beans means accept the beans and indicate amount. Then input on-off signal is accept the on-off signal and transmit the on-off signal. Input power means accept the power, switch the power, transmit the power. Hold means support motor, contain noise. Rotate shaft means convert electricity, and spin shaft and spin blade. And provide coffee means dispense coffee, provide indication of the chop. Then chop the beans means separate blade from hands and cut beans. And contain chopping and contain chop nice. So this is how the subtract and operate method happens. Thank you.